So I'm gonna say this with a great deal of confidence because I genuinely believe this, and that's Destiny 2 could have been one of the greatest games of this generation. I'm talking about a Red Dead Redemption, the Arkham games, Uncharted games. What do we got there? Horizon Zero Dawn. I guess The Last of Us is kind of a from a Last of Us from a technical aspect. Yeah. Um, it's a great, it's a great game, but it doesn't reach that level of achievement as those games. And I don't think if everything was perfect in Destiny 2, I think those games have a certain level. I mean, so everything was the main flaws with Destiny 2, or the main flaw with Destiny 2 didn't exist. I'm about to say. I don't think it's truly achievable for Destiny 2 to achieve that greatest of the greats, but I could see Destiny 2 as a lower tier great game. Like the lower spectrum of great games, like maybe Tomb Raider is here, or Destiny 2, then you got Uncharted. I could definitely see Destiny 2 proud, or the Destiny franchise proudly asserting itself there. But instead it's like it's in its own, it's in a whole different tier where it does it asserts itself, sorry. It asserts itself as a confidently a great game. I'll say a confidently great game, but it's not like that generational game. It's a really, really, really good game. But it's just not there where it could be. And the weird thing about it is, like the gameplay itself, like you have your characters and like all these weapons, they feel so good to use. Like that's so much fun for a unique set of reasons. That's so much fun for a unique, like I love using this is just such a great time. And I could just use these. It's just such a, like, look how many kills I have with, I guess these aren't like the weapons I use the most often, but, uh, well, that was a bad point of reference, but like it's the gameplay, the core fundamental gunplay and whatnot, abilities, movement, whatever, is exceptional. There's no really other way to put it. It feels so good to play Destiny 2. The gunplay, it just feels so great. And it's not like and that already puts itself really high up there with the, of course, Spider-Man PS4, Uncharted games, Ghost of Tsushima. Like it puts itself up there in terms of like the core gameplay. Just feels so great. I'm talking about gunplay. Of course, there's the issues, or the issues that come with Destiny 2 come with how the gameplay is designed, like the gameplay design of how you apply the core gunplay, like the repetitive loot cycles that is really just annoying and irritating. Maybe a boss has way too much damage. In PvP things are not horribly, but pretty poorly balanced, or unnecessarily poorly balanced to so many extents. Certain things not working as they should, like an exotic like Elias Handshake just not working, or working inconsistently when paired with something else. Like that's the those are the issues with the gameplay. But in terms of just getting a gun and shooting something, or shooting a target, it just feels great. As usually in first 85% of the game, you get some light puzzles and transversal. They try to change it up, and then of course they have dungeons, which people love because they have lots of a lot of different mechanics and teamwork and whatnot. And so that's the game. The core gameplay is exceptional, and then the graphics. It's not like Uncharted or the Last of Us games or the Arkham games where you look at something and everything's just like, oh my goodness, and you just like, oh my god, it's just amazing, and it's just look at things like, oh, it isn't like a mouth-watering graphic novel, but it looks great. Of course, you can adjust things with your computer settings and whatnot, but it looks great. Like this looks good. Looks really, really good. This looks as good as it could be in terms of this art direction. And in the art direction, things aren't like super detailed in the backgrounds and whatever. But I appreciate it not being like The Last of Us 2, where it's like this amazing technical achievement, but my PS4 is like the entire time because they had to put so much texture and detail into like a gosh darn bush. And of course, you can customize so much stuff in The Last of Us 2, from the gameplay to the combat, which is annoying because I just want to get a trophy for the high level of combat that I endured instead of just being like, oh, customize it for fun. Like, that's the kind of wokeness that's the issue. Now forget about the wokeness of like, oh my god, Abby's such a strong female. We should be concerned about the wokeness of, oh my god, you can customize the gameplay to however you want, and of course, once we customize the gameplay to however difficulty you want for your level of fun, there is no difficulty trophies. That's frustrating. Get you guys need to have like real valid opinions instead of getting upset about like the stupidest things. But anyway, sorry about that rant. And the graphics, they work great. And within the art style, it's just as good as it could be. At least in terms of like, that's not true. For most of the gameplay, it looks as good as it could be. In terms of like talking to a character, a Korra or whatever, she might not look the best, especially with how like mouths work. Sometimes she'll just like talk and then she says something and her mouth is like a 0.5 seconds behind, or there's like issues like that, which are it's not the best, but it's not the worst. But in terms of cutscenes, look amazing. Of course, the gameplay looks amazing. So that's gameplay, the gameplay itself, and the visuals already working great. And now that we've established ourselves, it's like having the Russo brothers in Marvel, where when Bungie puts out stuff, I can confidently say this is gonna be good, or I know it confidently can be good. There was that level of skill is demonstrated. It's like that Call of Duty level. It's like Call of Duty where you know the studio or studios that they use are fully capable of producing a great product. It's just about whether they actually do it. That's where they are. Of course, it's not. I don't think Destiny 2 Bungie is at the capability as Call of Duty when it comes to storytelling or the art community or whatever games in terms of storytelling. Bungie is capable of like a really, really, really good story, but how like story is communicated in this game is just not conducive to like a great storytelling masterpiece, because it's like story, you're playing the game, you're getting the story information because like of course things are happening and folding in front of you, but there's very, very limited actual cutscenes of what things happen. You might get an intro cutscene that's an actual cutscene, or it's like the ink, the watercolor whatever thing, which is pretty cool. But then you have so much of the story is thrown at you via conversation with someone, where you're just standing there and you're having this conversation. There's exposition happening across the screen of what you're supposed to listen to, and what you're supposed to read, which is also very annoying. Excuse me. And you have so much exposition happening when you're running and just not actively doing something, or maybe you're in the process of doing something that's not too intensive, and there's like there's an audio playing or dialogue happening that you're hearing over a your communications or your comms at the same thing. And then that's how you get the information, because there's like a huge battle happening and you're hearing about it, but you're doing like a certain little mission within that battle, and it's like this inorganic experience. And then and there's like a contrived sense of urgency, because it's like, we gotta do this, hurry guardian hurry, hurry guardian hurry. You don't actually have to hurry. It's just like this inorganic self-inflicted player urgency, like to really immerse themselves. They might hurry to the next location to immerse themselves in the experience. And you don't really need to hurry. You can just take your time. There's nothing's happening. It's just like an audio that plays, and then it's just whatever gameplay. Like, we don't have the level of Bungie doesn't have those level of storytelling capability in terms of that core how gameplay storytelling is communicated in this game. How I just expressed, and in terms of just the level of, I don't think that level of skill is there, because there is clear things that are happening. I really hope this mic isn't picking up the fan of my computer too much. But there is things that are happening, like, okay, we're trying to give Zavala some more personality and not make him like a one-dimensional character. Trying to make Akora have some like, it's very obvious what's happening, and it's done well, but it's just not like I can never, ever, ever say that any character in Destiny 2 is just an exceptional character. Like, oh, that's a good character. Okay, they're cool. I can't like say that Ikora is like I can't actually view Ikora or Zavala or even Kate as an actual person. Like there's that level of storytelling ability just doesn't exist within Bungie for that level of storytelling mastery. They can tell a really good story, but that mastery isn't there, and that's fine. That's what's gonna could deprive Destiny 2 of excuse me, I'm so sorry, of being that Spider-Man PS4 or the Ghost of Tsushima or Red Dead Redemption or even like a GTA 5. That's level of story like ability like we know we can have that good a story on top of the gameplay and everything, and that's of course very hard and incredibly hard to achieve as a understatement. That's why there's so many few great games all around this best of the best. That's why the best of the best are so limited. But the thing that's the worst thing that's total it's really irritating is that what deprives Destiny of being like a lower tier best of the best game is purely game philosophy, and that's the main crux of this video. I know I had to say that all that other stuff before, but it's very important that we have a clear communication of what Destiny 2 status is as a game. But what that really Destiny 2 deprives Destiny 2 of that higher tier status of this of that great game or a lower tier great game is just simple things like this is not going to have it. Where's Monte Carlo? I always talk about this. Excuse me. Dealing damage with this weapon reduces your weapon cooldown. That's fine. That's fine and dandy. What does increased damage mean? This is the thing, the gameplay philosophy, the design philosophy. I don't need to like give you a bunch of I'll give you a bunch of examples about just for sake of so everyone's on the same page. Increased damage. We don't know what that is. We don't need to know increased target acquisition because we can kind of feel that. Um, don't know how much range and accuracy, but whatever. Don't know how much. Ooh, shit, that's not increased damage. Small amount of health. How much health? Find out on Reddit. That is not really not going to be too picky about reload speed because you can really feel that. I would kind of like to know how much sprint speed. Kind of didn't would like to know who a powerful combatant is, and I have to look that up on Reddit. Now I know who it is, but I watched a bunch of YouTube video or I watched a YouTube video specifically about powerful combatants because it's not clear what powerful combatant like the specs are not like necessarily common. They could be common. Am I going crazy? There you go. Like the specs are not necessarily common sense. They could be common sense if you get lucky, but it's very easy to use the wrong specs for whatever and not understand what they actually apply to, like what enemies they actually apply to against, because they're not that specific. And it doesn't say how much extra damage again that they do. How much extra damage would that do? And it doesn't say for some perks if you that about melee kills and whatever kills. I don't believe. I think it might. Does it say for Monte Carlo? Does it give that specification? Let's see if it does. It might. Um, Markov chain. Let's see. If I'm not mistaken, Markov chain, there's like a bunch of tiers. It doesn't say the tiers of Markov chain that are available, which is great. If I'm not mistaken, a melee kill will skip you to the highest tier of damage output possible in Markov chain. Like there's so that's you get the idea. There's a lot happening. There's a lot to um like increased area of effect. How much? You don't have to tell me that. I guess you don't really need to tell me that, but like when it comes to like extra, apply more scorch stacks. How many more scorch stacks? Look it up. It's just so much that like the damage thing itself. There's just so much that needs to be looked up. Has to be you have to pursue information constantly, and the thing about it is we all understand that's an issue, and lots of us, there's too many people have come to accept it and use it as like weaponize that fact that you're like, oh, you should just know this. When it's not, like as an experienced player who played this person who's played this game a lot, it's not common sense. I don't really need to have a spreadsheet or to memorize like facts and data all the time when I'm playing a video game. It's a video game. I don't need like a. I'm very tempted to have like a spreadsheet that I play like have against the wall saying Rampage does this much damage, Swashbuckler does this, or literally study flashcards to understand how much does what. When the game could just tell me. Like Destiny 2 would be a really like this would totally change everything in Destiny 2. Is if they had like a stat sheet right here that said, let's say it just has like it says the stats of every aspect of a character. Like forget this. Like this is cool too. Or maybe we can just turn these into just well, I guess it already exists as raw numbers, but so it's not too big of an that's fine. But just have damage output for a certain weapon, reload speed stat. I guess that's already there, but like damage output, movement speed for whatever, and then they could show like if when you're holding the three brand types of weapons you can hold, and then how many like all of things that like how much damage you're taking from this actually, like the actual numbers, like basically what I'm trying to say is like of course the damage numbers would be amazing just to have like that would greatly improve the game, but if you had like a detailed stat line of, and of course this is definitely have to definitely say this as well, taking into account the old mod system. This mod system is really gross because there's only so much you can do with it in a certain loadout. It's just there's so much. Ooh, I don't. Oops, why don't I have Reaper equipped? That's probably not good. I should probably have. Reaper. Maybe I don't need Reaper for my loadout. Actually, maybe for that specific thing I didn't need a Reaper. But anyways, like it should just say how much the damage output is, how much the cooldown is for your for whatever based off whatever and how it interacts. So this doesn't because these don't interact with this. So like it just have like a detailed spread like have all the details that you having customizing your character. Of course, not with these stupid mods that I offer very little versatility, but have all the details of the artifact, like these stats, like how much increased damage am I doing because of from the fire team. Like, of course, it's a bit intensive to do a detailed version of this based off of like how all the different ways you can do damage. But if there was just some sort of like in-depth stats breakdown, like core like brings together everything from all your weapons into one place where it's like saying okay this is the breakdown of my attributes for my character. And of course I'm not saying that's like the most difficult thing to I'm not saying this is like the most easy thing to do, sorry, but some that would just really change things in this game. Like the level of payoff, that would make this a great of the best of the game because you can visually see everything so clearly and it's so detailed. It's not just like this feels good, it's just clearly obvious to see the stat just like I'm just imagining like a bunch of bars right here showing damage, showing the movement speed, showing aim down spites move like imagining a huge thing of a stats distribution. And if you want to have like three different like damage bars for your all your three weapons or maybe your four damage bars because of a build, like actually you could do like four damage bars. You could have like your primary damage, special damage, heavy damage, ability damage, and that's four bars. It looks really cool. It's very easy to see, and you can have the tiers of damage that is like attainable by this bar. Like this is one stack of Swashbuckler. Okay, second stash of imagine these bars on the screen with me. Second stash of Swashbuckler. Third stack of Swashbuckler. Like it shows it's very even as you can see the possible damage output, the base damage output for each weapon. No, actually that's not too hard. I was thinking that's gonna be hard for a second because you have to have different categories, but it's just putting damage alone into a very communicative thing you can see is very it would be awesome. And then saying, okay, this is the because each melee has like two things it does. Like it might cause a scorch, a ignite. It's not. I mean, like it causes like one or two effects, and you say, okay, this is the effects per one hit. This is the multiplier when you have it two of these effects at the same time, like the scorch multiplier. Like having such a very well described stat line would be incredible. That would literally ascend the game. Just having things well communicated of what things do. Like, I'm not just saying that you have to say how much grenade energy, excuse me, something provides. You don't necessarily have to do that. If you was like, if this was a best of the best, if you're like a great, exceptional studio, and you provide that for an amazing player experience, that would be so much appreciated. Like, but saying massive damage is insufficient. This is not, it's not sufficient to say massive damage. Don't use certain exotics like the Birdie Bird exotic, Birdie Bird head exotic, because I just don't know how much actual damage it does. If I could just equip and say, oh, from instead of like reading the patch notes and doing a read detailed thing, if I could just say, oh, this is a damage multiplier of my super and like a special bar stat distribution, then it'd be like, I think that I'm blowing my mind. I just feel like that's such a great idea. It's too late. It's not going to be done now, obviously. Like I could dream of that being done now. Maybe like some can be modded into this game when it's has less security on it because of the game being older and more dated. So maybe like years from now. But if you just had that strat distribution, oh my goodness, because people can visually see how unique their character is and how much expression there is, and take out these cruddy mods that make everything uniform, and there's only like two loadouts that you can really do per subclass in PvE. Like take away, or in PvP, it's just like the weapon you use basically. It is like that in PvE as well, but it's like weapon to subclass objectives based off whatever elemental pickups and elemental thingies. But I just feel like, I'm sorry I went way overboard and was very redundant in stating this, but that would really change the game. And like the bare bones necessity was just to say how much extra damage and how much for common sense things like weapon damage, how much what those numbers are. That's like the common sense thing. It would be just to provide that. And there's also this common sense things of saying, how much, like just having a actual like system, like this is annoying because I can't really see, like this good competitive, whatever is absolutely atrocious still. Like it just doesn't really work because you go in, you do your whatever the placement matches, and then you get stuck based on your team, or it's just not a good time. It's just not a good time of how this is, or how competitive works, and how it's better in terms of rewards, but still not a good time. And I said artifact armor. I don't know where that is, if that's gonna actually be a thing eventually, but I don't I don't know. Um, Crucible, it needs to have like an actual thing for Crucible rank of like why can't we just have like an actual like a graph like here that's pull up? You can just pull up the graph here or on the side. Just go all the way here of the tiers of Crucible rank and what they do and what they unlock, and I actually have like for each tier have them unlock something, because into my eyes this is just totally useless, because you go to shacks and you get some reward that's meaningless. Like what if we had some like real quick, like you just have like a tier of heroic. I play this game so much, I honestly do not know the Crucible rank tiers. I'm just gonna be honest, I just don't know them. Competitive, I know Ascendant exists, and I know those tiers a little bit, but was it kind of the same like all games? But I do not know the Crucible ranks, and I play Crucible all the time. So if you just have like, okay, Heroic 3 gives you this. Goody Two Shoes 7 gives you this shader. Amazing Boy 95 gives you the, like if it has like a list of all the shaders and all the things you unlock in each tier, that would be, it's such a common sense thing to do. I feel like to have some sort of system like that, or just upgrade the types of rewards you get from shacks. Something like that would be amazing. It would be even more amazing if you apply that to competitive, because I still don't understand why I should be playing competitive. I know trials is a big deal because you can go to the lighthouse and you get certain things, but you can only play trials if you have the newest DLC. So trials is like totally just like a non-issue for me because I just got the newest DLC with the Humble Bundle. But now you're gate like the pyramid is going like, okay, so you have to be a PvP player. Okay, we're here on the pyramid, so you have to have the latest DLC. Okay, so we're here on the pyramid, and it's extra competitive game mode. So we're right on the tippy top. Like it doesn't seem like, I just feel like it's just scary to me because I feel like I'm just gonna get spanked. It's not gonna be like, yes, Papa. It's gonna be like, please don't spank me. My butt hurts. I don't have much cushioning there because you're just wearing it down. I repeatedly just hamming at, just spanking me, and I don't like. That's what I feel like. I'm just gonna get spanked, and I'm not gonna like. I'll be like, no, Papa, please don't spank me anywhere. That's what I feel like the Trials of Osiris experience will be like. And it's just common sense that competitive has like you just look. I just look at it, and it's like competitive. I don't understand the why I should play competitive, which makes competitive worse because less people play it. And then it's just the when there's less people playing a game mode, it makes the skill distribution worse. And so competitive, it doesn't. I look at it and I'm like, okay, why am I playing it? I guess I'll play it. Maybe something good will happen. I guess it's not really well communicated what the rewards will be outside of the whatevers, but control. I don't understand. I actually don't understand. I think you progress. I would assume you progress in Crucible faster when you win, but it just feels like you get rewarded just for playing the game a lot when it comes to the casual game modes. Like it just feels like winning doesn't matter as much, and that's stupid. Like make it like certain what you like for. I'm just not saying you have to like go down in some ranking, but maybe just go down in the ranking if you're just absolutely horrible, or like I don't know, just make it somewhat interesting or meaningful. Especially if you're not gonna make competitive, have all the ranks and all the juicy stuff. But if you're not gonna do that, you have to give some love to like the casual game mode. Like it's just I look at them and I see it's just so obvious what to do, and it's just it's beyond me. It's beyond me. This has just become a video where I just rant about like every aspect of Destiny 2, basically. This is a dead issue. We're not gonna talk. We all understand the issue here with Eververse. Besides that, that's good. We like this. We all understand the issues that are present here, so I don't even need to, like, this is a dead issue. Like, oof. Oh my god, that looks so, ooh. No. This costs more. Like, we all know this costs more than actual games. Like, how much is let's see how much this costs, because we know, let's see how much 2,000 is, and let's see how much 1,500 is. So, hopefully you can still see my screen. We're gonna have to scroll. $15 for 1,500, 200 bonus, and $20 for it, of course. I'm acting surprised. We all knew this. I didn't know how much this would. That's $15, and that's $20 for pure cosmetic. Does not do anything for gameplay. This costs $15, purely cosmetic. Looks good. It's kind of tempting. I really want it actually, but $15. Is it offered in the I don't. It's just not necessary. Okay. I don't need. We don't need to get into this. This is its whole deal. Kind of want to see how the oh I have to do the where's the there we go. Oh, we have the upgrade, and I can't see the whatever's yet because I haven't done anything for that yet. That goes without saying. But the last thing I want to say in this mess of a video, this was just a huge rant. I'll just post the whole thing. Hope maybe it'll be of some use. At least it'll serve as documentation to the feelings of the game on March 9th, 2024. But the worst thing about it, and I did touch on this before, but I didn't really get into it because I went off on a 20-minute tangent, is that it's the philosophy. It's purely philosophy that's ruining. It's like Elon Musk ruining X or Twitter, whatever. It's purely the stupidity of lead. It's definitely it's evidently the stupidity of leadership. So the reason I'm bringing all together everything I've said in this video is being brought all together. I know it wasn't said as concisely as it could have been, but it's gonna be brought together all together nonetheless. So I talked about how Destiny 2 is not the greatest of the great games. I talked about how Destiny 2 um is really, really, really skilled in some aspects, and I know that Bungie is capable of offering consistently quality product because they have the capacity to give a really good, consistently great products, I would say, because they have that capacity, they have that level of skill. Not the level of mastery in all areas, but that level of extreme superior skill is definitely present within Bungie. There is no question about that. It's very obvious that there are issues with this game in terms of um like despite the core gameplay of course being phenomenal, as we've always said, and the graphics and being great, it's very obvious that there's certain aspects of the game that are just stupidly not like the having a stats distribution is have of all the damages of all your weapons and abilities here would just be sensational, and I feel like that would really make the game ascend. Having the bare minimum and having like just I don't know why I switched subclasses, having this demonstration of how much damage a melee weapon will do, having maybe even just even going as far to say like saying how much of a difference does it increase your chances of doing a lost sector on I don't know what are is it master I forgot the two like master, excuse me, master and not grandmaster, I don't know, legend and master, like how much that increases your chances. It doesn't really increase your chances, but having that like a very consistent demonstration of what rare means and how rare something, what it means when something's rare or uncommon, or what the loot pool of this actually is, and even just the breakdown of like even just legend to master and how that increases your chances of getting armor if at all. That's kind of where we're at. And of course, lost sectors, don't even get me started on how lost sectors are really like they're a good concept. They're actually an underrated concept in terms of having something that's changes every day, so it keeps you bringing you back into the game despite the obvious annoyances that provides. Because you have to play the game every day to get the thing you want if there's something you want. But of course, that's gives you increased engagement, which is good for the studio. But I think gloss sectors are underrated, but that's another issue that I might as well get into, but not right now. Um, we all know the issues with Eververse. That's self-explanatory. I didn't touch on the DLC issues. I didn't touch on sunsetting. So there's a lot of issues that was like once there's a lot of great stuff, but we're starting to realize together there's a lot of things that are starting to pile up with the player that are all player experience based. The competitive rewards and Crucible not being pretty neglected basically. Gambit is just self-explanatory again. Eververse, okay. Lost Sectors, okay. The DLC and sunsetting issues, okay. The Steam store that we're really getting into some really big, some very like we're getting into the shady and malicious with like Steam store where it's not communicated of what you will. It's not very clearly communicated that there's certain things that are not present in the pack, and it's not communicated at all that there's not always, if you buy something, it might not actually be there in the game still. That's a huge issue, and that's really, really bad. It can't always, I always check Steam reviews before buying a product, of course, because I have like common sense, but you can't expect a consumer to do that, really. And it's a weird thing to say, but it's not like the expectation of the consumer to buy something and not get what they buy. And that's a huge issue in this game, is not getting what you pay for. And of course, the prices always change for the DLCs. So it's about patience and choosing the best price. Oh my god, I didn't even get into the new player experience. That's really, we all know how bad that is. I made a video about how bad it is. Shadow Destiny, of course, copied me, and he's a Bungie shill, and he has made a video, released a video saying, okay, look, this is the obvious video. Give me my obvious views. This is the new player experience being horrible still. And all of that stuff I just said, it compiles to one big thing. It is Bungie's design philosophy. It is a choice of what to invest resources into. It is a choice for Bungie to not give the damage numbers for how much increased damage a perk would give, or how much stacks of scores a thing is supposed to give, or how much, if I'm being nitpicky, reload speed. You can sometimes see, but reload speed something's supposed to give. That is a conscious decision by Destiny. I mean, by Bungie. So that's that's like the big thing of this entire video that needs to be addressed, is Bungie making a conscious this is a leadership decision. Like I said, we've already went over everything about the good and bad and what Bungie's capable of and what they don't achieve. And it's very clear that there's a discrepancy of what they're capable of is mandated. The capability is totally there. It's clear that the workers in the studio they're fully capable. They can achieve just about everything they need to achieve within this game. But it's the leadership not only do they not divert resources effectively, and they have like these really stupid plans, they're not in sync with what the players. It's not even about being in sync with what the players want, because what the players want is very obvious. Like the new player experience being so vehemently bad, horribly, astounding, atrociously bad, is really like it's not a new. There's no way a game would not. There's no way the leadership doesn't like know that information or hasn't received that information from like anyone. There's no way to avoid it. The damaging and the quality of life thing, that other like various quality of life things in terms of the damage, and even having, oh my goodness, loadouts. This did not exist in the game for the longest time. I don't even. This changes like. There's so much potential. This is an important thing to bring up, because there's so much potential in this game that is restricted by quality of life stuff. Like, this blossoms so much stuff in terms of loadouts and builds and stuff, because you don't have to like use an external application to save your build and then like dem and put it into Destiny 2. Like, this saves it for this changed everything. And then of course they just destroyed it by overhauling the mods and making it all about armor charges, which no one really wants. And that is all decisions Bungie makes. That is all leadership design philosophy. Oh my goodness, isn't it so? It's like putting ads on Amazon Prime videos now. It's just corporate dystopia all around. When you have people who are so good at their jobs, but you have like out of touch psychopaths in charge who just don't know. They get greedy, and they just don't have like the all around. They might be really smart at like a certain business side of whatever, but they don't have the all around abilities, cognitive abilities, because that's why they are achieve such a leadership status. They don't have the all around cognitive abilities to realize, like, I don't know, just to take care of people, to take care of the players or whatever. For weapon damages, it's come clear to me that the reason so much, or for lots of things not being explicit, is because there's a lot of things in this game that are broken and they don't get addressed. Like Liar's handshake being broken, but it's not really addressed and it's not really fixed. And the lack of transparency for so many with so many things like damage and whatever, it gives them a little bit, it gives them a good amount of leeway because you can like hide things not working a bit more or hide whatever's. You can hide a lot of things, not truly having to just address an issue. You can just let an issue just like not be addressed for years and years to come, or you can just address it at your like really your own pace. And that's the only perceivable explanation for like the lack of common sense quality of life things is to give themselves that leeway. And that is purely, I of course has to be a decision by leadership because there's no one else who would make that decision of like, let's be lazy and not put these in. And let's be lazy and have this system that has a lack of transparency to enable laziness. That's a truly, oh my god, that looks pretty cool. That is truly a leadership decision. That's that doesn't get discussed enough, and that needs to be discussed because that is the epitome of this entire video. Of Destiny, Bungie's leadership restricted this game from being this great game that it could. Of course, they probably, in so many of their, so much of their business practices that we don't really truly aware of or nor have an understanding of, because we're not business psychopaths in the business industry who crush the little people and get ahead. And of course, the commendable, like cognitively commendable aspects of strategy and whatnot, and handling a business like a AAA game that is Destiny 2. Like there's so much that has to go behind the scenes. And they put Destiny 2 in a great place to succeed, but they also put Destiny 2 in a place where they couldn't really, of course, hiring people as well. But they put Destiny 2 in a place where they couldn't get any farther. Where they couldn't the game has these restrictions because of choices that someone sat down and said, this is the choice we're gonna have, this is the philosophy we're gonna have. And not just sat down and just decide this like once. It's like this is an overarching for months and months and years. This is how things are gonna be. There is no other way. And that just they snipped the balls from this game. That gave them the game it gave them the game like a little bit of like not quite there. It's a little too short. There's not enough girth to really give pleasure. It's just and it's frustrating because there's so many. I don't want to go on a rant, but I don't want to go on a rant. That's ironic. But I could talk about always gotta talk about Brawlhalla and how that. Well, Brawlhalla is a different issue because it's just incompetency across the board, and it's not in Bungie doesn't have that issue where it's just like incompetency across the board, where it's like only the art team does good or only the gameplay team. There's consistently a level of skill there across the board with the Bungie team. But it's the leadership. They don't they make these decisions. They make a concerted decision that this is the philosophy for this game because it enables us to be lazy and this enables this to do this and do this. And we're not gonna really care about the quality. Like the quality of life in Destiny 2 is so bad. It's so I mean, not the quality of life. The player experience is so bad, or the player quality of life. There we go. There we go. It's so bad. Like there's just no reason for it to be this bad, and it is, and it will continue to be so until the final shape, and to whatever. Because you have to really rely on Reddit to know so much, and to really experience the game, you have to rely on Reddit, YouTube, whatever. And I'm not saying the Destiny 2 community is a bunch of angels, because they're not. There's a lot of stupidity and whatever, like Lucky OPs, like, he's human scum. Aztec Cross, we all know he's transphobic human scum. Grenadier Jake is kind of a douche. Even Fallout Plays, he's very, very, very elitist. I forgot the words for a second, so I had to buy myself some time. He's very elitist in his how he perceives the game. But yeah. So that was a very long rant. I don't if you put this on the background while you're doing your whatever, then I appreciate you. For listening to what I had to say. Unfortunately, You may have just agreed with everything I had to say, so it just might put you in a bit of despair because I don't really see much happening. Like I dream of that stat distribution thing happening. That is my biggest dream for this game, is that having that stat distribution thing. My two dreams for this game that would never happen is just being like 50 loadouts, like a trillion loadouts, and then my other dream would just have that stat distribution of all the stats of damages and everything and the cooldowns and whatever's and the movement speed and jump height and whatever. Jump height is actually a good one. Seeing how Stompies actually improve your stats, because it doesn't show here. So having showing things, I should have mentioned that earlier, but having like Stompies improve your stats, like having all of that breakdown here. Oh my goodness, that is the dream. That would make this such a, even though it's a little bit late, really late in the gameplay cycle, that would be the greatest thing ever for this game. Just to have that stat distribution. Maybe I can make a program that I can't make a program. I'd make myself a computer science boy to make a program, but maybe someone, or I can have some work with someone or teach myself and make a program that does something like that, maybe on a third-party application, because that would be, oh my, that would be so amazing. Like I can't even tell you this. Yeah. And then just like just that being done, a billion loadouts and of lots of rewards for competitive, and that structure I said earlier of you don't have to keep, I'm being redundant now, but like the reward system, like you become heroic 3 reward, greatness 7, an exclusive shader that's only present in that season, and whatever, and then amazingness 72, you get some amazing armor ornament thing, or maybe like a bond, like a thing you put on your arm, or maybe you unlock a face customization feature. Hey, like, yeah, yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It obviously went really long. I had a lot of things. I didn't even get into lost sectors. Like, I didn't get into lost sectors. I didn't really get into lost sectors. There's a lot to be said on lost sectors, and the DLC system, and the season pass system, which is not the worst, but it's not the best. So, oh my, I could go on and on about the deep site harmonizers issue. Like, that's irritating as heck. How the monument says misinformation about, or no, how Zur says misinformation about you can only have one cipher, but that's not true. I'm not sure if that was fixed. Um, there's a lot I could, and the pricing distribution in the Steam store. There's like a lot of issues, and they all correlate with quality of life, player quality of life, the player experience. And they all correlate to design philosophy by Bungie. So yeah. Um so I'll summarize this whole bit before we end the video. I'll summarize the whole thing just one more time for timestamp purposes. The TLDR, the big boy TLDR of this entire video, the one sentence TLDR of this entire video is this. Destiny 2 is a great game, but created by an extremely capable studio that is restricted from being a truly generational game due to um leadership's conscious planned designs, designs and or their planned game philosophy decisions. That is the TLDR of this video. Have a great day. Jeez, I made this video way too